As a member of the Jehovah's Witness faith, Sharon Beasley faced a barrage of challenges in the delivery of her now 6-month-old son, Stanley. Sharon does not accept blood products on the basis of her religion and even possesses an advance directive, a legally binding medical document stating her refusal. Sharon's experience while giving birth in the hospital exemplifies the challenges faced by witnesses every day in the choices they must make regarding their health. The Jehovah's Witnesses are a Christian denomination practicing in many countries worldwide who believe in the new interpretation of the Bible, the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. One such translation of the Bible scriptures that draws a lot of attention to the faith is the refusal of blood products. According to their Bible, God commanded that Noah only eat the flesh of animals, but never the blood, as it is the soul of all creatures and belongs to God. Since 1945, the governing body of the Jehovah's Witnesses has issued policies that dictate what blood products practicing witnesses can and cannot receive. Allogeneic blood products such as whole blood, packed red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, and plasma are to be refused, or the recipient will face consequences from the church not limited to excommunication. Join us as we explore the implications of the Jehovah's Witness faith on healthcare, women's health, and childbearing as we interview Sharon and one of the nurses involved in her care, Linda.
Thank you for joining me today, Mrs. Beasley. I understand you had quite the experience when delivering your first child, Stanley. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, please?
When Michael and I first found out we were pregnant, we were so excited, but obviously really nervous as first-time parents. I went to all my prenatal visits, I did all the lab work, and I just followed all the guidelines of my pregnancy. Around my 14th week, however, I was at a prenatal visit and they told me I was anemic, which means I had low red blood cells. The doctor I had initially chosen to deliver Stanley was concerned because I'd already submitted my advance directive stating that I would refuse whole blood products.
Now, Linda, you're one of the nurses that assisted in the delivery of Sharon's baby, right?
That's correct. I've worked in L&D for years and had never worked with a Jehovah's Witness before. Sharon brought up her concerns about blood products to me and I admittedly didn't know much about it. As I inquired further, I learned that her faith admonishes the use of whole blood products, and Sharon had already filed an advance directive, or what they call a blood refusal card.
Now, were you concerned at all because of her refusal of blood products?
Somewhat. Postpartum hemorrhage is a leading cause of maternal death in our country. Because Sharon was anemic, she had an increased risk for substantial blood loss during and after labor. Treating hemorrhage without a blood transfusion is riskier, but not impossible.
Oh, that sounds really scary. How did your team decide to approach this situation then?
Well, the first doctor that Sharon sought out to deliver her child wasn't comfortable without the option of giving her blood. So Sharon found a provider that would listen to her needs and plan her care around her personal preferences. Part of this involved fully educating Sharon on the risks of refusing blood products and making sure she fully understood the implications.
So what strategies do you think were effective in responding to this non-traditional and culturally diverse situation?
Once Sharon was fully informed about refusing blood products, we tailored her care plan around her needs and preferences. We made sure she had supportive care, including prenatal vitamins with iron, and counseled her on optimizing her nutrition. Things like red meats, nuts, and leafy greens are all really great for increasing iron stores and raising red blood cell count.
So tell me, how did your delivery end up playing out?
Well, my new doctor wasn't as concerned about needing blood products because I was considered a low-risk pregnancy up to that point. All throughout the prenatal visits, the nurses were so great about listening to me and hearing out my concerns, and really helped me understand what refusing blood products could look like. I'd never really thought about the implications that thoroughly, and even considered going against the church should the need for blood arise. I was really concerned about dying from a hemorrhage and leaving my family on their own, but I was also very concerned about going against God. I'm just a worrier. And there's actually a faction of Jehovah's Witness that doesn't agree with this practice and advocate for the right to choose for themselves, so it was all really confusing.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Did you ever feel like they were trying to convince you to receive blood products?
Yes. With my first doctor, I felt like I was trying to be convinced without actually being heard or understood. It's kind of scary because if you go against the teachings of my church, they excommunicate you and you can lose all contacts with your friends and your community. I had a friend who got pregnant before she was married, and we never saw her again. But with my new care team, everyone was really great and open to the fact that I didn't want to receive blood. I never felt like they were trying to change my mind, just educate me about my options.
Sounds like you really had some considerate healthcare providers involved in your care. So what strategies do you think were effective in responding to this non-traditional and culturally diverse situation?
I think the most important thing to remember is that even though Sharon has her own beliefs regarding healthcare and that they may differ from my own, they're still valid. I learned that the Jehovah's Witnesses have a hospital liaison group, and they're actually very helpful for me in understanding the specifics of my patient's care. The biggest lesson about working with different cultures, though, is to acknowledge that everyone has their own beliefs, and you can't assume that just because someone is a Jehovah's Witness that they all have the same preferences. We strive to make all care patient-centered, treating each patient as an individual. Sharon's delivery proceeded without complication, and now we have a happy, healthy little Stanley. We were well prepared to respond to a postpartum hemorrhage without using blood, but luckily we didn't have to.
Feel like you were supported by your new care team throughout your pregnancy and delivery?
Absolutely. I never felt judged, and they really involved me in my plan of care. They supported me by teaching about the risks of my decisions, and we talked about alternatives to blood products. I really trusted Linda had my best interest in mind and at heart, and I felt completely comfortable with her. I also really appreciated the involvement of my family and my husband throughout the process. My care team and Nurse Linda encouraged the participation of my husband, and he was really grateful to be included.
One last question. What do you want healthcare providers to know about Jehovah's Witnesses who are entering motherhood?
I want people to know that we are people too, who believe by our faith under God. We do have some different beliefs that can seem weird or not normal today. I mean, I grew up knowing that I was waiting until marriage, and I was excited for that day, and I got to be with my life partner and start a family of our own. But like any pregnancy, there's always unexpected hiccups. For mine, it was the fact that I was anemic, which posed a greater risk for further complications. While trying to reconcile the possible need for blood products with my faith, I understand why people from an outside perspective would question my decision to refuse a potentially life-saving treatment. But to me, my community and my faith is my life. And by accepting something that's against our doctrine, I would be ultimately giving all that up. And at the end of the day, I'm a mom and I'm a wife, and I want to have a happy and healthy family too.